Okay, so how well do you know basic mathematics? Well, if you say that you know basic math pretty well, then you should be able to do this problem fairly easily. And what we're going to do here is do this problem without the aid of a calculator. So all you need is a piece of paper, a pencil, or a pen, and your supercomputer. Your supercomputer is located right here in between your ears. That's so much better than any artificial intelligence. That's actual intelligence. Certainly enough mental horsepower to figure this problem out. But unfortunately, a lot of you that think you could do this problem are going to get this wrong. And of course, I'm not going to tell you where I suspect most of you are going to have trouble with this problem because I want to see you succeed. So if you can figure this out, put your answer into the comment section. I'll show you the right answer in just 1 second, and then we'll walk through this problem step by step. And if you happen to get it wrong, hopefully you'll see the particular step that you didn't understand. But before we get started, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John, and I have been teaching middle and high school math for decades. And it really is my true passion to try to make learning math as easy as possible. So if you need assistance in mathematics, check out my math help program at tcmathacademy.com. You can find a link to that in the description below. And if this video helps you out, don't forget to like and subscribe, as that definitely helps me out. Okay, so just to be clear, what is the problem? Well, we have 3/8 times 2 squared divided by 2/3 plus 1/5. Okay, so let's go to take a look at the answer. The answer is 49 over 20. Now, of course, you could write this improper fraction as a mixed number fraction or a decimal, but probably no one, created a or wrote their answer as a decimal because we're not using a calculator, although a lot of you still remember how to work with decimals. But anyways, this should be the most common answer for those of you that did get this right. Now, if you were able to do this without the aid of a calculator, that is very impressive. Matter of fact, I got to give you a nice little happy face, an A plus, a 100%, and multiple stars, so you can brag to your friends and family that indeed you are a certified professional expert in the area of order of operations, fractions, and powers. They'll be like, "Wow, I always knew you were good in math," and you just tell them, "Well, I've been watching this guy on YouTube. He's been really helping me out." Okay, now all jokes aside, for those of you that maybe tried this problem that didn't get this right, well, I suspect that one of the reasons why a lot of you did not get this problem correct, it's not because you don't understand maybe how to deal with fractions or powers or maybe even the order of operations. It's the way you work a math problem, okay? And this is a very overlooked thing in mathematics. A lot of students don't really pay enough attention to this. But if you're interested in truly learning math or improving in math, you must understand that math is a language. So here is the point I'm trying to make. So here, let's suppose, is our problem. Okay. You want to be neat and structured and just take one step at a time. Okay. And when you take a step in math, you want to double check. Be like, okay, did I do this step right? Essentially, you're going to be grading yourself. Okay. Put yourself in the role of a teacher. Once you're satisfied that you took one step correctly, then take another step. Okay, and then keep checking yourself as you go. Then this is a discipline, all right, a habit that you need to create. But this tells the story from problem to solution. Okay, now if you didn't do this problem in this manner, you won't know what part of the problem, if you got this wrong, you won't know what part of the solution, you don't understand. Okay, so it is essential, okay, if you truly want to, if truly want to learn and improve in math, that you write math step by step, neat, organized, and structured. Now, a lot of us out there, including myself, we're very, very, sloppy to say the least. So some of you have to work really hard at this, but again, this is kind of the secret to being successful in math is being focused, disciplined, and neat. Okay, it is a habit. So don't do math unless you're going to try to do it in this manner. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this problem. And the first thing we need to discuss is the order of operations. So we have multiplication, powers, division, addition going on here. So we need to revisit our friend PEMDAS. Now, for some of you out there that have watched some of my other videos on the order of operations, I cover PEMDAS. Others of you out there, this might be the first time visiting my channel, visiting my math videos. Thank you so much. But PEMDAS is the order of operations. So we need to be able to do this problem in the correct order. If not, we'll end up with different values. So in mathematics, things like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and even powers, these are mathematical operations. So PEMDAS tells us the correct order. Okay, so it basically we have to go from left to right. And let's just quickly review this here. So P is parentheses. We're going to do anything inside parentheses or brackets, essentially grouping symbols. And if there's more than one set of parentheses, we always do the innermost first. Okay, so E is powers, things like 2 to the third power. Now you might be saying, well, why is this acronym here, this E, not a P, okay, like powers? Well, because E is the exponent. This part of the power is called the exponent, okay? So this is what we're going to do next. So you can see in this problem, we don't have any parentheses, and we do have a power. So that kind of should give you a clue on what is going to be the first step. So remember, this is a checklist. We're going from left to right. Now the next part of this, the remaining part of this, is highly confused. So M, D, A, and S. M stands for multiplication, D is division, A is addition, S is subtraction. Now, a lot of people confuse this. They go, oh, I got to do multiplication, then division first. Always, always, always. That's not the case. Basically, the way this works is the following. Okay, these are two groups. So you're going to do multiplication or division, whatever you see first from left to right. Okay, so whatever you see from first from left to right, again, this is a very confused part of the order of operations, and addition and subtraction works the same way. Okay, so anytime you have a numeric expression, some sort of math problem where there's a lot of different order math operations going on, you need to always be keeping this PEMDAS in your brain. If you want to write it down on a piece of paper, it's a checklist, right? And by the way, there is a lovely phrase that can help you remember this acronym, and that is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Once again, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I don't know what Aunt Sally did, but we thank her for her lovely little phrase. This PEMDAS has been around for many, many decades, okay? So again, we're talking about basic math, things that, people learned way back, 60, 70 years ago, but it still works. It is mathematics. It really doesn't change much. All right, so now let's go to put our knowledge of PEMDAS to work. And of course, we have fractions and powers going on, but we'll take all of this one step at a time. All right, so with PEMDAS, we're saying, okay, P, is there any parentheses? No. E, that's our next letter, right? Are there any powers? Yes. So we have 2 squared, and that's what we're going to do first. 2 squared is 2 times 2, which of course is 4. All right, so pretty easy here. Again, I'm not kind of trying to do all this problem in one step, okay? I just took one step, I write down my work, and then I double check. All right, 3/8, this is 2 squared is 4, da, 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 da. I make sure I write everything correctly. I don't change the problem. I'm checking, I'm auditing, if you will, grading myself as I go. I'm confident, okay, good, I took one step. Well, let's take another step. Okay, so again, we need to continue to remember PEMDAS. All right, are there any parentheses in this problem? No. Were there powers? Yes, we took care of those. All right, now is there multiplication and division? Indeed, right? We have multiplication and division. So what do I do first? Well, I'm going to do whatever I see first from left to right. I see multiplication first from left to right, so I'm going to do this next. 3/8 times 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and tackle this now. So 3/8 times 4, this is what we have to do. Now, at this point, okay, if you don't understand how to work with fractions, well, of course, I'm going to show you this, but some of you might be rusty with fractions. Of course, if you've been away from anything for a long time, doesn't mean that you're not good with basic math or fractions. It's just that you need to kind of brush off some cobwebs. And the only way you're going to do that is to kind of do a lot of practice and relearn some of this stuff. By the way, if you're interested in kind of a little mini basic math boot camp, if you will, I have a great course. It's only 3 chapters. It's called my Math Foundations course. You can find it in the description, the link to the course. But I go over all kinds of basic math concepts that most people forgot: decimals, place value, fractions, order of operations, percent, all that kind of good stuff. But you need to get your foundations down before you move on to more exciting things like algebra. All right, so 3/8 times 4. So we need to go ahead and think of this 4 as a fraction. So we'll just put that as 4 over 1. And now how do we multiply fractions? Easy, we just simply multiply the respective numerators and denominators. So 3 times 4 is 12. 8 times 1 is 8. So of course I can reduce this fraction down to 3 halves. 4 goes into 12, 3, and 4 goes into 8, 2. But over here, some of you might have said, hey, Mr. YouTube Math Man, make your life easy. I got a 4 right here. That 4 goes into this 8, 2. Okay, so there's your answer, 3 halves. This is called cross canceling. So hopefully all of you are like, up to speed on your fractions. Okay, but if you're not, no big deal. You can certainly learn this stuff with a little bit of instruction and practice. Okay, so now we did this right here, this part of the problem. And here is our answer, 3 halves. All right, so again, I'm just taking a step here. So we did this, and our answer is 3 halves. Now, you can see now I'm kind of working this problem. I'm taking steps like so. You might want to do this a little bit on the side of your paper, kind of, not scrap paper per se, because you want to be able to see this work, but you want to keep the kind of story being told one step at a time. So it takes practice, and what you want to do is try to emulate how a teacher does their problem. Okay, then you'll also want to work in pencil, not pen. So if you have to erase something, you're making your work nice and neat. Okay, so here we go. We have 3/8 times 4. The answer is 3 halves. So now we're down to this right here. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about what? Well, what's the next step? We have addition, we have division. So we're going to have to deal with multiplication or division before addition and subtraction. So of course, we're going to be dividing these fractions. That's going to be so exciting. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you to do this, and that is to subscribe to my channel. This really helps me grow my YouTube channel, okay, which effectively for me is growing my virtual classroom. And if you're going to do that, make sure to hit that notification button. And for those of you that are subscribers, thank you so much. I'm very grateful. But for those of you that are new to my channel, I have over 2,000 plus videos from basic math to advanced math like calculus and everything in between. All that content is for you. My objective is to try to teach math in a clear and understandable way, okay, in a non-textbooky type of manner. Okay, so many people struggle with math. It doesn't have to be that way. I would say probably 99.9% of the people out there that really have a tough time with math can be math superstars, but they lack confidence because they haven't got the right instruction, okay, and the right kind of encouragement. And that's what I try to accomplish on my channel. But by you subscribing, it does help me out. Thank you so much. Now back to the problem. All right, so at this point here, we're just down to two operations. We have addition and division. Of course, division is going to trump addition. We're always thinking about our Aunt Sally, kind of whispering in our ear, hey, don't forget about PEMDAS. All right, yes, no problem, Aunt Sally. I got to do this now. So, right, so I have 3 halves divided by 2/3. And I just want to kind of show you something here. Stylistically, okay, you see how I write this fraction with a horizontal fraction bar versus this one has a vertical fraction bar. Both are correct. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, I use both styles because a lot of people like to write their fractions this way, and some of you write your fractions this way. I am going to encourage those of you that write your fractions with this angle fraction bar to try to get in the habit to write your fractions with this horizontal fraction bar. It's just much easier when you get into things like algebra and the like. But again, it's not like you're wrong. It's just, again, this is going to be an easier way to express fractions in algebra when you're dealing with variables and the like. Okay, so 3 halves divided by 2/3. Let's go ahead and deal with this. So this is pretty easy here because what we're going to do, we already know how to multiply fractions. So because we know how to multiply fractions, we're going to turn this division problem into a multiplication problem. And the way we do that is we're going to go from division to multiplication by flipping the fraction to the right of the division operator, okay? So we have 3 halves divided by 2/3. This fraction here, we're going to flip it upside down. It's called the reciprocal. So that's going to become 3 halves. And when we do that, we go from division to multiplication. And of course, we already know how to multiply fractions. We just did that right there just a couple steps ago. So now we have 3 halves times 3 halves, or 3 halves squared. Pretty easy stuff here, because now this is going to be 3 times 3 over 2 times 2, which of course is 9/4. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. And again, as I indicated in the very beginning of this video, all right, nothing that we're doing here, I would say, is overly complex. We're not doing calculus or advanced trigonometry. We're just doing a lot of basic math steps, but we are doing a good amount of steps, okay? So if you're not in control of the process, you're going to lose sight of what you're doing, okay? And this is where a lot of you went wrong. It's not that you don't know this stuff, it's the way you work math problems. So again, if you truly want to improve at math, you got to improve your, the way you write a math problem out. Okay, so here is the answer, 9/4. So let's go back and see where we're at. Okay, so we just did this right here, this division problem, and the answer is 9/4. So now we're down to adding fractions, which of course is everyone's favorite thing to do. And when it comes to fractions, probably most people they don't mind multiplying and dividing fractions. That's pretty easy. But when it comes to adding and subtracting fractions, typically that's where people are like this. I don't like that because I got to think about the LCD and all that kind of stuff. Well, yes, indeed you do. And in order to add fractions, okay, we need to make sure, add or subtract fractions, we need to make sure that the denominators are the same. So again, stylistically, I'm going to write 9/4 plus 1/5. I'm going to use this horizontal fraction bar so we can just kind of clearly see the denominator. So here we have 4 and 5 as the denominators. We cannot add these because these are not the same number. So we need to find a common denominator. Now these fractions have all kinds of common denominators. As a matter of fact, they have an infinite amount. So we just don't want to use any. We want to use the lowest common denominator. Okay, so what is the lowest common denominator? Hopefully you know how to find that. But indeed, the lowest common denominator is 20. Now, how you find the LCD, the LCD effectively is the lowest number that both of these numbers can divide into, but there is a whole little procedure on how to find the LCD. So, dealing with fractions is not just like, so easy, especially when it comes to adding and subtracting fractions in LCD. You got to understand this stuff. Again, if you are struggling with fractions, also I have a ton of additional videos on my YouTube channel, okay? But as I was saying, if you're struggling with fractions and basic math, check out my Math Foundation course. I teach you everything in that course when it comes to basic mathematics. All right, but the lowest common denominator is 20. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we're going to have to change these denominators to 20. All right, so we're going to rewrite these fractions into equivalent fractions where the denominator is 20. So here we go, okay? So let's go ahead and see how we can do this. So effectively, we're going to, again, change these fractions, write them as equivalent fractions, and these are the equivalent fractions where the denominator is 20. So let's take 9/4 for example. So we're like, okay, I got to turn this into a 20. How can I turn that denominator to a 20? Easy, just multiply it by 5. But if I multiply the denominator by 5, I also got to multiply the numerator by 5. So this becomes 45 over 20. So over here, how do I turn this 5 into 20? Easy, multiply by 4. But if I multiply the denominator by 4, I got to multiply the numerator by 4 as well. So this becomes 4 over 20. And now we have common denominators, okay, 20 and 20. So to add or subtract fractions that have the same denominators, all we do is add the respective numerators, okay? So here, this is going to be 45 plus 4, which of course is 49 over 20, which of course is our answer. Now, some of you may have taken a different path here when it came to this particular fraction problem. Let me show you another way that some of you could have done this problem. So some of you might have said, oh, this is an improper fraction. I could turn this into a mixed number fraction by taking 9 and dividing by 4. So this is going to, 9/4 is the same thing as 2 and 1/4, okay? So this is kind of a longer path, but some of you might have taken this path. Let's just kind of quickly review it just in case you did that. So 9/4 is the same thing as 2 and 1/4. All right, fine. So you said 9/4 is the same thing as 2 and 1/4. Now 2 and 1/4, this mixed number, plus 1/5, we could think of it as this. This is 2 plus 1/4 plus 1/5. So that's what 2 and 1/4 means. It means 2 plus 1/4. And now you can add these two proper fractions, okay? And 1/4 plus 1/5, when you do the lovely math here, that's 9 over 20. So we have 2 plus 9 over 20, which is 2 and 9/20. Now, that is equivalent to our answer here, 49 over 20. If we take 49 and divide it by 20, we get 2 and 9/20. Now, the reason why I show you this is that you want to get in the habit of working with improper fractions. In other words, when you're done with a problem, just leave it like this. Don't do the extra work and turn improper fractions into mixed numbers. Generally, that's you need to know how to do that, but that's generally going to be the longer and harder way. But here, 49 is 7 times 7, and so we don't have any 7s as factors. So you always want to make sure your final answer is reduced. But anyways, there you go, folks. This is the solution to this problem. And some of you may have struggled with some of the concepts here, maybe adding, subtracting fractions and whatnot. But I suspect that many of you that do have pretty good fractions are pretty good basic math skills. In other words, you know how to add fractions, you know how to subtract fractions, you know how to multiply, divide fractions, you understand the order of operations. If you got all those things down, then probably the reason why you had a tough time with this problem is that you just kind of lost focus. So no big deal in terms of not getting anything right, okay? Well, let me just say this much. You should never feel bad about making a mistake in mathematics or making a mistake in life, period, right? Mistakes are opportunities to learn. What we don't want to do is continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. Okay, the only way you're going to get better is to really do your best on a particular problem. And when you do your best, you can kind of, really clearly see what you know and don't know. Okay, so with all that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.